easier not to.
Do it. It's just don't do it.
Don't do it. You'll just get DMCA banned.
We'll get DMCA banned. Speaking of DMCA banned, let's get one right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Runeterrable Radio. I am Blevins, and with me, as always, is a potentially weird, distorted robot-sounding Saucy, but doesn't sound like it to me. It just only sounds like it to Twitch and maybe the recording. I have no idea. How's it going, buddy?
We're gonna see. Yeah, we're having some weird, really weird audio issues. So I don't know. We're running with it. If it sounds like garbage, hey, you've witnessed history. And you win the golden ticket.
You win one golden ticket, redeemable for TBD.
Hey, let's
golden
do
ticket
the
not actually redeemable for anything.
People do. If you're a new listener, it normally sounds better than this. And anyone else who normally listens, you know it normally sounds better than this, or it sounds fine. So it's or there's no issues at all. Who knows?
I broke my first rule. Well, it's not really my first rule, but it's a rule that I learned literally in Public Speaking 101, which is to not bring up things like this. Like if you're sick and you're doing a speech, you shouldn't start off the speech with like, hey guys, I'm sorry, I'm sick. You should just do the speech because most of the time, a lot of people won't notice unless you're like horrifically ill.
So all is that to say nothing's actually wrong.
Yeah, nothing is wrong. I made all that up, and it's just in your head. If you're
we're just giving you, this is your free public speaking lesson that you've been given.
Yes.
It's a new segment we like to call free public speaking lessons.
Yes.
Segment.
Yes. I'm going to, it's a segment we like to call Blevins recants every class and course he took in community college. .com. That's the name of the segment.
We can alternate. I'll go through some of my very fun college courses. We can go through typography, and it's going to be really awesome.
The most writing I ever did. Okay, that's actually not true. The second most writing I ever did for any course was in a children's literature class.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I wrote a lot about the tale of Despero and the Giver. Really great class.
Nice.
I'm mostly like, I'm kind of maybe not anti. I'm not the biggest on college in general, but if you are looking to go to college, go to community college for 2 years and then transfer. It's way cheaper, and you're going to get the same level of
anti-college.
Yeah, I mean, I will.
He does not like Piltover University.
No, Piltover University sucks. Here's the thing about the university. It's a gigantic investment. It's like kind of random as to what the outcome is, and you're gonna like end up not liking what happened anyway, and you're gonna end up probably losing. And also, Piltover University isn't that good either.
And
that was the joke. Okay, let's actually talk about Runeterra before like the College Board of the United States bans our podcast.
Man, we're getting banned by everyone this week. Right?
We're getting banned by everyone. I hope I get a DMCA so I can stick my middle finger up to the music industry like I've been doing for many years. I don't care. Okay, we're getting off topic already, and we actually do have stuff. We actually do have stuff to talk about. I lied in the tweet. I lied in the title of the Twitch Twitch cast. There actually is things to talk about, Saucy. We've got a new patch, and it's a biggin. It's a biggin.
Yeah, this is a dense patch, not just with balance changes, but we got a lot of new treats, new labs, sweet gauntlet, a new thing feature is the word I was looking for. A new feature.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know where you're going with this.
And we've got even a meta game snapshot from Rito themselves.
Yeah. We got the metagame snapshot. We also have the live metagame snapshot, which is literally, well, we'll talk about it as we get through it. But before we get into all that, Saucy, I know the patch came out today, and I know you literally just got home from work. But has there been anything in the past couple of days that you've been playing that's been fun, or things that you've been brewing or thinking about playing with the new patch?
Yeah, so unironically, I've been playing a ton of Vlad lately. Like I was playing a lot of Vlad Soraka in anticipation of some Vlad buffage, and so I'm excited to play a lot more Vlad. Some
Yeah.
buff Vlad, give him muscles. Actually, I was with Cato the Arm. That was a thing.
Wait, is
But
that
so I've been
giving
playing
him
a lot of that.
muscles or having the muscles throw Vlad?
Both.
I guess
Can it be both?
what is the flavor of, like, the actual flavor of Cato the Arm? Is it just that, like, how does he physically supporting you in the lore?
I think
Like,
he's throwing you, right?
well, I know, yeah, I that's what I thought too. Like, he throws you
throws
so
what's her
hard
face?
that you get stronger and also get overwhelmed.
Shiraza.
Yeah,
He throws
Shiraza,
Shiraza.
exactly.
He's just throwing her into the Nexus.
Right.
He's I love that idea. He's like "Rah, blam and hucks her. But other than that, I think I've come up with my most prized creation, the
Oh.
best thing I've ever made. And it's a new Pursuit of Perfection deck, um, featuring the new 8-mana card that name I don't remember from KDA that buffs all your guys up to the
Yes.
power and such, and you make a board full of 30/30 overwhelms, and it's awesome.
Yes. I love it.
It's super fun. Yeah, we
What is
were
that
watching
card
some clips
called?
from it before the show, and we made a bunch of like 9/9 elusive spell shield overwhelm dudes. It's really fun.
That's awesome. Is it called Give It All? I feel like it
I'll be on
should
it.
be if it's not, because that's literally what the card does.
So this is I've realized this for whatever reason. I am really good at remembering cards in card games. Like I'm always the one that knows the names of them. Someone will be like, "Oh yeah, what's the card that does X, Y, and Z?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know that one. That's Mystic Shot. It's a
Yeah.
new card you never heard of." The
Yeah.
KDA cards, I can't remember a single one of their names anytime
Yeah.
ever, and I don't know why. They're all the same name to me. In my mind, I
Yeah.
hear one of them, and they're all the same damn name. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why I can't remember any of them.
I know the one of them is
There's Go Hard.
there's Feel the Rush. Yeah. Go Hard is the Shadow Isles one. Feel the Rush
Give It
is the
All.
Freljord one. I'm pretty sure Give It All is the Piltover and Zon one. If it's not,
No,
that's
I
a
think-
huge fail.
No, maybe it is, because then there's Go Get It.
Go Get It is the Ionia one. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. If
Then-
Give It All is the name of one of the cards and it's not the Piltover and Zon one, the one
It's
that
not the one that
literally
gives them
all of the abilities,
Yeah.
that is a huge fail. And yeah, that would be a huge fail.
I only know Rack Your Bags. That's the only one I know. Rack Your Bags.
Yeah, Rack Your Bags. Wait. Oh, that's the other side, the
Yeah,
leveled up Go
one of
Hard,
them.
I think.
Sure, they're all the same card.
I'm pretty positive Go Hard. I think I know the ones that have been played in tournaments, which is Feel the Rush is the one I definitely know. Because that one,
That's the card that actually got play.
well, now and I guess this kind of transition, well, I guess it can kind of talk into what I've played against, because I did play a handful of games today. Go Hard, which is the 1-mana Shadow Isles one, that is the flavor of the hour, at least paired with Ezreal. Yeah, there's Ezreal, I think, and we'll talk about his change in a bit here. Ezreal, and then also there's I don't know who came up with the original concept, and actually there's a couple of different, there's at least like 2 or 3 different variations. But the one that I was playing came from Saro, who's a competitive player and streamer, and he called the deck Back Alley Poker, which is a Shadow Isles Elise, Shadow Isles Bilgewater Elise Twisted Fate deck that like is kind of like Casino, in that it's like it's kind of attacking on a couple of angles. It draws a bunch of cards. It also plays like really aggressively. Like it plays Betty Croker and a bunch of the 1-drops in Bilgewater, and then just plays a bunch of cheap spells. It's really strong. That has been seeing a lot of play. Ezreal of a variety of flavors have been seeing play. Shadow Isles, Noxus, good old fashioned Karma Ez. Ezreal's coming out of the woodworks now, which is
now you said you've been playing some stuff. I want to see, because there's a lot of ways you can get decks in Legends of Runeterra, like deck lists. That you were telling me a very new, interesting way to get deck lists.
So you can now, and if you didn't know, I'm assuming I'm pretty sure this came with this patch because I don't remember seeing it before. But if you go to in Runeterra, you hit play, and then you go all the way down, you can see the leaderboard. And this was a new feature, I think, 2 or 3 patches ago. I don't remember. Maybe more. Some number of patches ago, the in-game leaderboard, right? Where you could see like where you are, and then you can see like who's at the top of NA ladder, and you can see the whole thing in Master. Well, now when you do that, you can hit inspect, and you can see the deck that person was playing. So you can see, I'm assuming in relatively real time, what deck the top ladder players were playing. So when Mr. Emotional is saying on his stream, oh, Tom Kench Soraka is trash, and there's only 2 players in the world that are good with it, and then you click their inspect, and you see that they're also playing it, you begin to think, was there a little bit of deception there, potentially?
Yeah. Some
I'm just making up a random. I'm making up a random case and not calling out a specific streamer or anything.
It's just something that could happen.
Yeah, could happen.
Yeah, specifically could happen.
Yeah, specifically, absolutely happened, and I saw it happen immediately before the stream. But also, hypothetically, of course.
It's just a hypothetical, honestly.
Regardless,
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is really sweet because I was like, ooh, if I want to see I want to play well, hey, you can just keep an eye on, like, you literally can see what the meta is, and like you can see, I think, a more, on the one hand, it's going to be a less filtered look at the meta, because not everyone that's in the top 10 or 50 is on Twitter tweeting about it, right? You can see what the top players are actually playing, and they make it really easy. Like, it literally brings up a thing where you can just copy the deck code and import it immediately,
which is sweet.
It works exactly how you want it to. Yeah, it works exactly how you want it to. It's so good. But yeah, but also, and they kind of talked about, Riot has kind of talked about this in the past with things like Mobalytics and Reddit and Twitter. It's like, how much of this is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, and I'm actually wondering this too, because with this patch, we did get a metagame snapshot for patch 112, patch 113, where they literally, like, here's a deck code, play rate, and win rate. And like, the first thing I did was look through it and be like, oh, there's some decks I didn't really see. There's a Demacia Ionia Zed Lucian deck that I just didn't see at all. Of course, it only had 0.07% play rate, but it had a 55% win rate. Okay, I'm going to build this deck. So, like, you see that, and it only had a 0.07% play rate before. Well, next metagame breakdown, there's all of a sudden, X thousand people that saw these patch notes and copied this deck and have been playing it, right? It's even more so, I think even more so than Mobalytics is like creating its own monsters in a way. It's like, well, if they showed, I'm just making up a deck here. If they showed Ezreal Karma and had a 75% play rate and a 75% win rate, obviously that wouldn't happen. Well, probably that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't be that crazy for Magic, right? But like, it's only going to increase it, right? Or like a deck that beats that deck specifically is going to skyrocket in play rate, probably, right? So I'm wondering how much of like, again, the like self-fulfilling prophecy this is, where it's like, yeah, we're showing you this, and it's kind of creating the inbreeding of, well, I see what is played, so I'm going to play it, and then it's going to get played more, which is going to make more people see that it's played more, and then et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's the first time we've had this this is actual internal data like
Mm-hmm.
that they have. So it's not just, someone going and pulling, whatever from X websites. This
Yeah.
is we can see these are real play and win rates, and it was very interesting. Like we saw a couple, one that was like interesting to me. Where was this? It was the Fiora Shin deck was like doing really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was over a 55% win rate or something,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty cool to see. Man, where did it go? It's in here somewhere. Yeah,
I
Fiora
remember
Shin.
seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 55.95% win rate and about a 4% play rate,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting because I didn't think it was that high of a win rate. Um, yeah, it was, so it's just kind of cool to see all of these. The Zed Lee Sin had, it's cool to see because they gave from patch 1.2 and then they also gave patch 1.3,
Yep.
so you can see how it changed.
Mm-hmm.
So like before the nerfs, Zed
Mm-hmm.
Lee Sin was 11% play rate, 53% win rate,
Mm-hmm.
and then it got bumped down to only 7% play rate and 50% win rate.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool to see. Like, still deck does very well, but it has about like 3% across the, all of players
Mm-hmm.
less win rate, which is pretty interesting. I like that.
Yeah, I also like that, we look at just if you just look at patch 112, you look and you see 11% for the, Zed Lee Sin, which again, was at the peak of Lee Sin strength. And then, Trundle Tryndamere, War Mother's Call deck at 10%, Pirate aggro at 10%, discard aggro at almost 10%, Tom Soraka at 8, Bilgewater, Nox, Deep at 6, almost 7%. But it's like, okay, we're going down. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decks in, and it's like we're 5%. The next one's 5, next one's 4 or 3. Like, there's so many decks that have like a relevant play rate, Saucy. Which
Yeah.
again, like, you look at Magic, and I think actually it was Jeff Hoagland who tweeted out,
that up,
his tweet where he happened to go across, or he happened to come across Cosmic's tweet with the Mobalytics meta breakdown next to, like, I think it was either, I don't remember what it was, like a GP, no, not a GP, but like some online tournament where it was like 70% of the decks were Gruul aggro, and then there 30% were other, and then it was like 70% of LOR decks are other, and then it's like 10% is the best deck.
Yeah, it was something like the top 10 most played decks in Runeterra only was like 30 some percent of
Yeah.
the field, and like the top 10 decks in Magic was like 90% or something.
Yeah. Which is
yeah, it's, I mean, not to get like on a tangent of another game, but it is pretty cool that things like this remind us that there is so much variety in this game. Even if you feel it's that perception thing, right? Where we talked about it before when Blevins was trying to hit Masters the first time, like just writing down, keeping a spreadsheet of the games, and you realize, oh, I don't honestly only see this one deck over and over. And I say it all the time, like every time I face against like Field of Rush Trundle, I'm like, okay, here's the same game that we played 55 times in a row, when really it's not quite as polarized as it feels sometimes. It's just that's what you remember.
Yep. It's recency bias and confirmation bias, all that classic stuff that you can learn in community college. Cool. Check out your local community college.
Piltover University. So yeah, we got the actual data from Riot.
Yes.
Check it out. If you haven't read the patch notes, this is like the most dense one, so go do that. But the real meat and potatoes that everyone was looking forward to, we got a lot of card changes, like a substantial amount, including a lot of changes to some evergreen classic champions. And this is something that this is like a gripe that I've had for a while, and they finally fixed it. So Lucian and Jinx, they fixed they didn't, it's not like a fix, but they just changed the way they work. So now they can trigger their ability the same turn they level up, all of like the same way like Sejuani will do it. Because that's always something that's confusing to a lot of people, myself included,
Yes.
like you level up Lucian and then like they'll kill the thing and then he doesn't rally that same turn.
Right.
I'm like, no, that's how it should work. And so, you know, a little bit of a buff to Jinx now. She can make rockets the turn she levels up,
Yeah.
which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think both Lucian and Jinx, I mean, like you said, it's kind of like it's just a straight up change to how they've worked, but it also kind of feels like a quality of life because it's more of a consistency thing. I think if you read the card as is, they probably wouldn't do that. You know, Lucian says each round, the first time an ally dies, rally. So like reading the card logically, I wouldn't think that it would trigger the turn that it flips or that it levels up because it would level up from the first time something died, and then if you know you get it. But because all the other cards work like that, just make them consistent. Now maybe if they could change the.
Yeah, and I think it's because if you're like you have to think of the permanent differently because it as a leveled up Lucian is a different instance. It's like another instance of a card basically. It's like a different permanent, and that's why it
yes,
works.
but sometimes it doesn't work like that, right?
I
Like
know.
so, and I get why they wouldn't do that because I guess how would you do it? It would be like the first time that this leveled up Lucian sees something like just keep it this way and you'll learn. I mean, and yeah. Well, we asked Umbridge about this last week, and by the way, if you did not listen to our episode last week, it was an absolute treat, and you should pause this episode and go listen to that because it was great. We had game director for Legends of Runeterra, right, Umbridge, on the show. So you should definitely check that out, as it was just a great episode. But, you know, they basically said, you know, we could get super wordy and specific like Magic is, or, you know, we can kind of default to, yeah, you'll figure this out like after the first time you play it, right? Which makes sense.
Which is fine. I mean, there's growing pains in card games, whatever. As long as it makes enough sense to where, like, as long as it's not strictly wrong, because there's been times where the way it's worded is completely wrong based on how the effect works. So as long as they stay away from those situations, it's fine.
Yeah.
So first change, that's good. Next, we got another couple cool changes. Our girl Sylvana, she got a little bit of an upgrade. She got a power increase on both forms, which I have been saying she is understated. I'm like, it just feels bad to play her. So this helps. What do you think of the change?
Yeah, Shyvana, I think is almost, I don't want to say like a mini Trundle, but like you think about it, like now with Trundle's change, which I guess we can kind of bring up as well. Trundle now got a nerf in his health. His butt got a little smaller. He's now only a 4. Now he's a measly Bull Elnuck. He's a measly Bull Elnuck for 5 mana.
Unplayable.
And the Ice Pillar also got a butt reduction down to a 0.6 from a 0.8. But I mean, Trundle's a different card. Don't get me wrong. But like Shyvana 4 mana 4/4 or a 5 mana 4/5 in Trundle, like I'm definitely just from a stats perspective favoring Shyvana in that.
Yeah.
And also Shyvana has the ramp aspect of Herald of the Dragons. Turn 2 Herald, turn 3 Shyvana. I mean, I think that's a pretty strong play, and like Shyvana is strong on her own. You know, obviously having other dragons is great, but I also think that Shyvana, much like Trundle, is sort of evergreen enough where it's like, yeah, you can just play Shyvana with no dragons if you want, you know, to fill your 4 slot with that, and you don't want to use any other, you know, use different champions. I think, you know, and we've talked about this for a long time now that, you know, the 4 slot is extremely contested in Demacia, you know.
In Demacia specifically, yeah.
Right. You know, it's Bannerman, it's Grizzled Ranger, it's, you know, the 4 drops in the other slot or the other region that you're generally looking to play. I mean, you could be playing Bilgewater and have you know, some of the other 4 drops there too. So, you know, Shyvana doesn't necessarily fit in that, but also like if you're playing the Herald, You can throw a couple dragons in there. You'll be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Cool change. She's like on the cusp of playable.
Yeah, I think her time can happen. I think, you know, it
We'll get
seems like
there.
they've gone a little conservative with the sort of like unit type synergies. It's not like Magic where it's like, okay, we've got 58 elves and you can build an elves deck and it's going to be
Yeah,
elves, elves, elves. It's like, okay, we've got dragons and like we've got some top end and there's like a little bit of synergy with some of the cards, but also like you can just kind of play dragons.
yeah.
Um
It's
and
whenever like tribal synergies in card
yeah.
games and any card games, it's difficult because like if you put too many in at once, they end up too strong and too easy to play. Like
Yeah.
there's not any restrictions on not like why would you just not play everything?
Yeah.
So that's why we need more Elnuks. You know,
Yes,
we
we
need to
do
get
need
more
more
Elnuks.
Elnuks.
Why don't they just make Trundle and Elnuk?
Oh, that'd be so sweet. Or Shyvana and Elnuk. Screw it.
Yeah,
Um,
Shyvana could be an Elnuk dragon.
she definitely could in my book.
She looks like it.
I think so.
Yep.
The scaled Elnuk. But
Yep.
the other thing that I actually heard on Swim's stream, I think it was yesterday, was talking about the Tom Soraka deck, and how like that deck can be like really strong or, you know, kind of mediocre depending on the meta, but like so much of that deck and that archetype that like self damage and heal your units and like gain benefit from that and Soraka, and it's so pre-built
Yeah.
in a way that's like there's just not a lot of slots open in the deck to play around with, which is not necessarily a great feeling. Even if the deck is strong, um when you feel really priced into playing so much of the deck because of the synergy. It's such a synergy deck that like if you go too hard into that synergy, like for an elf deck or a dragon deck, it's like, well, I need to play all these dragons to get the dragon synergy online, but then it's like, well, now I can't play the Withering Whale. And not that you play Withering Whale in dragon deck, but like
But you might.
you could. Well, I mean, the same thing happened with Deep when it first came out. Remember, Saucy, where everyone was like, okay,
Just spam
search Deep,
everything.
add. Okay, I've got 2 card slots left. Let's add in
Yeah.
2 other things. Okay,
Not
great.
removal.
Yeah, not
No.
removal. Yeah, so I think, you know, the Shyvana, I think, sort of fits in that sort of like nebulous kind of tribal synergy, like gain some benefit from tribal synergies, but also like you can just play Shyvana. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's yeah. And then I think they're afraid of making her too good to where she's just a good generic champion you just throw
Mhm.
in,
They
like
have to
with the
play.
0 synergy. They're just like, yeah,
Right.
if she's
Well, that's what
too
Trundle
well
was, right?
statted,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you just played Trundle because he was real good. And
Yep.
that's I think what they're afraid of. They don't want champions to have 0 build around,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense.
It's definitely a fine line, for sure,
Mhm.
because I don't necessarily want it to be like, okay, well, we've got the dragon deck and it's 90% complete, and you either play an additional single combat or you play Tiana Crown Guard, and those are the only
Yeah.
2 choices, and those are it's one extreme or the other, and the other 38 cards are the dragon theme cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Which isn't what you really want, and usually isn't good, or it's so too good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think, you know, Shyvana, she was really lackluster before, so this should definitely push her closer and make her more of a consideration.
She's very close. I think she's very close to like could be
Yeah,
okay.
I think you know, again, she's getting attacked sort of in 2 directions: the 4 drop slot specifically, and then also the champion slot, because it's like those 2 axioms are very contested in Demacia for the most part. So we'll see. I think you can definitely build a deck around her and or include her in a deck, and it's just not quite there. The Dragon Demacia deck is just a little bit. It's just missing a little bit there, but we'll see. More cards come out, she could definitely get better. Speaking of potentially at least having gotten better, Saucy, I know one you mentioned that you were playing with before. Vlad got some changes.
Yeah. Love him. So now he got a little bit of a rework. He got a strict buff into where he only needs 5 dudes to take damage instead of 6, which is good. But now how he works is he only damages the units that are to the right of him when attacking. So if you do have anyone that you don't want to see damage, you could throw them on the left, which is pretty
Yes.
cool. Leads to just some more interesting decisions, because before it's like, well, if you're attacking with your guys, you have to be like, if they have 1 health, you're like, well, I guess I just need them to die.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. It's very interesting. I like it.
I kind of wish that they just gave him the keyword like super support. Like he supports everything to his right. Like, or like
Yeah.
give him support and then say he supports every unit to his right. Cause like give the support, give some more support cards, because I think that as a synergy and as like a theme is a little like weak in terms of all that. So maybe Vlad could have been like, I mean, Vlad, let's see, Vlad Lulu could have been a cool thing. But
Yeah.
Vlad Tarik, he damages them and then Tarik gives them tough. Could have been a thing. Could have been a thing. But yeah, I mean, he got a little bit better, kind of. And they're not pushing Vlad too much. He's just getting little inches every once in a while.
Just a little, every so often, just a little push. And I mean, with playing him the other day, his new drain was completely irrelevant in a couple games. So, he's getting there. One day he'll be a card that we know about.
Maybe. Right now he seems kind of like a meme, but
I'm playing some Lucian Vlad tonight. So
ooh, nice. That's always been one. Demacia Noxus has always been one that I've wanted to be good. I just haven't gotten it there.
It's like, without being an SI, this is like the ultimate. I want all my own stuff to die deck. You know, Lucian and his wife, Vladimir. Everyone's dying.
If you took that sentence out of context, you said Lucian and his wife Vladimir.
And Vladimir. Yeah, I don't see the issue. That's correct, right?
Yeah,
I read that fanfic.
Spank me, Vladdy. That's that deck.
Because Spank Me Vladdy was Garen and Vlad, so I think I'm gonna try it with Lucian and Vlad.
Yeah.
Spank Me Vladdy is one of my crowning achievements in life.
It's a great deck. It's a great deck. It's a great deck name. You gotta love it. But we mentioned it before. Trundle got the I don't want to say the axe, but he certainly got a little bit weaker. He's now a mere Bull Elnuk for 5 mana on the unleveled side, and then of course is a 5/6 on the level side. An Ice Pillar going from 8 health down to 6.
That was big.
Yeah, this just makes Trundle look fair, which by comparison makes him seem way, way worse. But he's actually, I think, just a fair, too strong unit still. I don't think
he's just a pile of stats and keywords. Before he was just, and that I was trying to explain that to someone. Like, oh, I miss, I was getting so many free wins with this deck. I'm like, yeah, because it was a little too overtuned. Like, that's why he got a reduction in power. Oh, but he should that's just how it works. So yeah, I mean, he's the Ice Pillar is big. The Ice Pillar is really big because 8 health on that thing and I'm doing air quotes right now. Air quotes, essentially a free card that just never goes away is really damn annoying. So that's a big one.
Yeah, it just got like it did too much stuff. Like it can attack as well, which is so weird. It was weird to me, and then I think it was Casanova sort of explained to me how the flavor could work, where like his ult is part of his attack, so like he can attack. I don't know if I bought it, but I mean, just really strong, versatile, and yeah, he just had too many stats. He's still going to be good, but like now, especially with regeneration, like he was so hard to kill.
Big ass. He had such a big ass.
Gigantic ass. And you couldn't kill him. And if you tried to kill him and you failed, he just regens back up. So like you need to like overcommit to try to kill him.
You have to thermo beam him for like 72 to be able to kill him.
Yeah. I think this was a change that a lot of people sort of called. I mean, there's only so many things that you could change with Trundle that aren't like completely reworking the card.
Yeah.
I almost I don't know how much this is going to change, though. In the grand scheme of things, I think it's certainly going to have an immediate impact, and maybe that immediate impact, as well as some of the other changes, brings forth other decks and cards that are going to be good against that sort of Feel the Rush, or War Mother's Call style deck with Trundle and Tryndamere. But like, I think you could just queue this up as it was and still be fine in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
It's going to be worse in some cases for sure, but
Yeah.
like
Still totally fine.
yeah.
Definitely worse. Let's talk about the other kind of nerf that really went along with this, and that's Weirding Stones.
Yes.
The card that gets changed every patch, I feel like.
Since the
And
very
it's
beginning.
down from yeah, I know. Well, remember how broken Weirding Stones used to be?
Yeah, it used to
It was
be
like
2 mana,
one of my
right?
favorite.
Was it?
2 mana.
Yeah.
Yep, it was.
2
It
mana
was a 2
0
mana
3.
0/3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so now it gets a health reduction from 4 to 3. So now all of the 3, damage removal, get excited, gotcha, all that thermo beam on this right turn.
Yeah.
I'll kill it, which is a very, very big deal. And you can't block every unit on the planet with it.
Yeah, the Weirding Stones, like it dodged everything, like you said, and then also like you can chump, you can chump block, 2/2s.
A couple times.
Yeah, a couple times, which is just insane because that's what you need for that deck. Yeah, I mean, this is it also like having played that deck quite a bit, like a common play I would make is, block a 1/1 and then avalanche a turn later and still have my Weirding Stones. Can't do that anymore. You just can't block at all, and then still have your Weirding Stones survive an avalanche. It's like you pick one or the other. Are you gonna have your Weirding Stone survive avalanche, or are you gonna block? So it is kind of a small thing, but I think it is a relevant break point quite a bit. And I mean, again, to my earlier point, like you can still go Weirding Stones on turn 3 and a turn 4 Trundle, and that's still going to be very, very strong. So, and I think that, they obviously wanted to keep that as sort of as a line of play. Like, hey, go, turn 3 into a turn 4/5 drop. That's, they want that to be a line of play. They just don't want it to be devastating like it was before.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of cards that get changed relatively often, and even now in this case reworked, we've got Ezreal, who is I think rework is really the only way to.
Yeah, it's definitely a fairly big change.
Yeah, so his unleveled side is going from 10 targets down to 6, which is a lot. A 40% reduction. But now his leveled up version will only do 1 damage by default when you cast a spell, and it will do 2 if the spell targeted an enemy.
Yep.
So and of course it means enemy units, not the enemy nexus.
Yeah, so this prevents things like the puff cap OTKs and just like
makes it harder
playing
at least,
like yeah, exactly. It's not doing as much damage.
Yeah.
But it makes him a lot more playable and a lot more viable in different decks as well. Like because before you could only ever play him the turn you're about to win.
Yes.
But now like there's a lot more reasons, since you only did target 6 things, like to play him to get the mystic shots early, and to actually you want the mystic shots to deal damage. It's really cool. I'm not just biased because I love Ezreal. It's nice to be able to. I mean, so expect for the first probably week you're going to see a ton of Ezreal everywhere because he hasn't been played in so long. People are excited to see it. It's a big change. We'll see if it sticks around or not. If it is too good, but I think it's sweet. Maybe we'll see some spooky Ezreal again. It's like one of my favorite decks.
Yeah, I played again for maybe 20 minutes today, and maybe longer than that. I think I played 5 or 6 games today after the patch, and a lot of Ezreal right now. I haven't quite seen the spooky Ezreal in that it was a harrowing deck yet. I've seen more of a like almost like a Karina, and actually I played against someone who was literally running Karina, like a Karina style, like it's PNZ Shadow Isles, it's PNZ Shadow Isles control with Ezreal as a finisher, and Yeah, I mean it's really being played a lot. I've seen Noxus,
I think
Swain Ezreal.
yeah, yeah, that's been everywhere, and I think the Sejuani Ezreal deck is a lot more viable because that deck was really close, even with him at
Mm-hmm.
10.
Mm-hmm.
I think at 6 it becomes quite good because you get Troll
Yeah.
Chance.
Oh,
Sejuani's
that's
ability levels him up.
true. Yeah.
You get all the frostbite effects, obviously, which those now deal more damage. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the ways you were dealing damage before in the failure version still do full damage with him leveled up.
True.
Um, so that could be really well,
Oh,
also
that's true. The
really
old
well.
school.
Also,
I loved that deck. The old school, I mean,
Elnux,
Elnuck version. Rest
yeah,
in peace. That's not going to happen again. But yeah, that deck was the old Prismat special
mm-hmm.
back in the day.
Yep,
I don't know if you knew this, Saucy. Prismat has gone technically gone back to being a professional Heroes of the Storm player. They have
really,
been,
I didn't actually know that.
yeah, he came from that. He actually was played in HGC, and now he's playing in the CCL. He got drafted in the first round by a team.
That's dope.
Yeah, so sad for the LOR community, as I really liked Prismat.
Sag.
But yeah, he's
Did I use it right? Sad.
Sag. Yeah, that's Sag.
That's Sag.
I think, I don't know. We're boomers, so
Yeah,
we don't really know
yeah,
how that works.
yeah. I'm a Sag.
But yeah, so good for him. Bad, well, not bad. Sag, yeah, Sag for the LOR scene because he was great. We talked a little bit about Jinx before, and oh, Saucy. I mean, for Lucian, I'm like, okay, good. Let's give Lucian a little bit of a bump. He's always kind of been like the bridesmaid for Demacia decks, and like never really the bride, but sometimes the favorite bridesmaid,
Mm.
where like
Yeah, yeah.
he'd get played and he was really good, but like underrated. I don't know if that analogy really works anymore, but I'm fine with him getting a power buff. Jinx, I don't think needed, like, from a power level perspective, I don't think Jinx needed the ability
Mm-hmm.
to get the rocket on the same turn, because it's like super relevant with her, and like
Yeah,
it
especially because
happens
they
a
made her
lot.
rocket cheap.
Yeah, her rocket got cheaper, and like most, I would say, not maybe not most, but a lot of the time that you're leveling her, it's via Poro Cannon or Rummage or
Mm-hmm.
Augmented Experimenter, which
Yeah,
which are all cards that allow her, or Zonite Urchin, which are all cards that allow her to level and then get the rocket in the same turn,
yeah,
which is insanely
good.
powerful. And that
Yeah,
deck was already really good, and she was already the best card in the deck. So,
I feel like this will probably, and I think they alluded to this. I'm not going to go look at the quote, but I think they said if it's too strong, they'll look at some changes. I feel like Jinx probably eventually gets changed somehow. I do
yeah,
like that she can make the thing in the same turn because I mean, there's so many times. I mean, I still go against people who level her and then empty their hand and give you like an oops emote.
yeah,
Like it's still like it feels like she's leveled up and then her text is like, oh yeah,
right,
when I empty my hand, I make a rocket. It feels like she should do that, and now she does. So I like that she does it, but I am afraid. I mean,
yeah,
discard aggro is one of the stronger decks,
mm-hmm,
and now it just got stronger.
yeah, yeah. It certainly, like, this change in some games is going to increase its clock probably by one turn,
Yeah.
which is
Hmm.
insane to think about. And just makes Jinx all the more powerful, which I like. I like Jinx. Jinx is a really cool concept. I really like Jinx as a card. It's also one of the champs that you get, I think, 2 of for free in your account. So,
Yeah, I
like,
think so.
make the beginner champ a good champ. I'm fine with that. Like, get newer players, give them good cards at the beginning. I'm fine with that. Um, but yeah, that deck seems like it's gonna be strong. They might need to change something.
Yep.
And it would probably have to be the rocket. I don't know. Maybe they make it do 3 in 1. I don't know. I
Maybe
don't
they
want to
give her one
speculate.
attack.
Yeah. I don't want to
They make her a
speculate.
1/1.
They make her a 1/1 for 1. Yeah, that would
Yep.
be, yeah, that wouldn't
No,
be.
1/1 for 4.
Oh, for
1/1 for
4.
4.
Ooh, yuck.
Yeah,
I hate
absolutely.
I hate
No,
that.
great, great. Speaking of too strong,
Yes.
Tarik or Tarik gets a major buff going from 2 power to 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this is going to change. I don't think that Tarik's attack was the thing that was keeping him out of play. This will certainly help. And I think there's been some fringe decks, at least from the competitive side, that have utilized Tarik.
Yeah.
But
It helps. Like support's just really tough because you have to attack with the units,
Yeah.
and he can't trade into literally anything at 2 power, so it does help.
Yeah.
Obviously, a buff helps, like
Mm-hmm.
duh, but it's whether or not this is good enough to make uh, Senior Tarik better.
I can't remember if it was Umbridge talking on our show, or it might not have even been Umbridge that was talking about this. It was talking about Tarik, but like the inherent problem with support champions is that they are by definition only doing something on attacking turns. So like they feel half as effective as other ones. So like, how do you come to terms with that as a mechanic? It's like, oh, I mean, and like Tarik, and yes, he's offensive, but he kind of feels like he should be defensive. But support is the antithesis of that. So, I don't know. Again, I go back to the old adage of I'm glad I'm not a designer of the game, because I think they have a very hard job, and they do a very good job of it. But this is like, what do you do with support? Like, where do is it something that like maybe it needs to get reworked entirely, but then there's like some cards that feel really good, but like support doesn't feel like it's great. I don't know. I don't know. So we'll see. It's good that he got a buff. I don't know that it's really going to change too much in terms of his competitive viability, but if you were a Tarik main, or really, really, really wanted to play Tarik in a competitive deck, got that much better for you.
True.
Big truth. What they really need to do is make it so that you can do the combo that we wanted. Put that in the game.
Bring back Fizz combo. Let's go.
Yes, it's not going to happen, sadly. So those were just the champs that got changed. We've also got some followers and spells as well, including Tiana Crownguard, who is now going to be an 8-mana 8/8.
8/8 Tina.
They learned from the Gristlebrand problem, or what was Gristlebrand the one that did it right or that did it wrong? Where like Gristlebrand is a 7/7, pay 7 life, draw 7 cards, but cost 8 mana, and it's just like aesthetically unpleasing. Like,
yeah, you look at it, you're like, wait, Gristlebrand.
Wait, he should cost 7 mana, but he actually costs 8 because it's like 4 and then 4 black. Yeah. So Tiana Crownguard, again, I don't know how much additional play Tiana is going to see because she's an 8/8. But it's probably not going to be less than she already did.
No, yeah. I mean, 8 power is good. Sweet. She was great in the Vaults of Helia Dragons deck that wasn't great.
So right.
Whatever. It's a it kind of seems like it's an irrelevant change, but
yeah,
maybe one day it'll matter. It's whatever.
Tiana should be a bigger trump to endgame followers from other regions. Okay, that's their reasoning. It's like, she's an 8-mana card. Look at some of the other 8-mana cards. She needed a little bit. Okay, cool. We already talked about Weirding Stones. Fuzzy Caretaker. Speaking of support, Saucy, we got Fuzzy Caretaker got a little bit of a buff.
Yeah, so he got a mana cost reduction, which are always substantial.
Yep.
Going down from 4 to 3 to counteract that. They made his health go from 3 to 2. But I mean, I'll take a 3-mana 3/2, and his support ability is pretty good. So they talk about like he was a little too expensive for his ability, and like it's especially like you want to play him in more low to the ground decks. If you are playing these, maybe with Lulu, whatever. So I think like 4 mana was really tough to justify him. 3 is a lot better.
It is. He still feels weird. I mean, 3-mana 3/2. It's like, again, go back to the basics. Vanilla test. Are you playing a 3-mana 3/2? No, You're not. That's a 2-mana. That's a 2-mana card. Is a 3/2. So, what is his ability giving you?
Snooze bottom. That's
Yeah,
the problem.
he's no Trevor Snoozebottom. Is exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And then also again to go back to what we talked about with Tarik, support being the
Tough.
Inherently sort of a weird ability and only offensive, and like he actually doesn't curve well with Lulu, right? Because you would rather go. You actually would rather go 3 into 4 in that scenario, or 2 into 3, right? 3 into 3 is a little bit awkward.
He like helps the times you don't have Lulu, but yeah, it's still tough, but definitely a lot better. I don't know. I don't really play those type of decks to begin with. I'm not a huge fan of like aggressive support decks, so but that's just me.
They're really tough. They're really tough to make. I tried a lot, and they just feel like awkward because you either end up wanting to just cut a lot of the support cards and just go elusives, and then every card that's not elusive in the deck feels really
worse. Yeah,
a lot worse. Yeah, because it just instant snap gets blocked every time. But I don't know. Maybe he certainly again is not worse than he was. But I don't know if that makes him good or not. Okay, moving on to Mina Swiftfoot, the good old 9-cost Ionia unit, which has seen some play at varying points in time. She is now a 9-mana 7/6 with quick attack instead of a 9-mana 6/5 with no additional ability. And then, of course, still, when you play her, recalls 3 enemies. Have you played a lot of Mina Swiftfoot, Saucy?
I've not. So I have played a little bit fairly recently in the I don't know any of the KDA cards. The 5-mana one, I've been playing Mina in that.
Okay.
Because you get to bring her back and play her and then do it again to recall all their stuff.
Yeah.
A 7/6 with quick attack is a big old body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she definitely that is super relevant because like a 6/5 at that mana cost was going to get blocked by a lot of stuff and traded with, which always felt kind of bad. She feels like a really dominant force now because she already was like a huge swing when you played her. And she actually
so many Minas.
Oh yeah. She actually was starting to see a little bit of, I don't know if I'd call it tier 1 play, but high level play, I guess, in a Feel the Rush deck that actually cut Shadow Isles and played Ionia instead. Which I think worked quite well. I played a little bit of that, and it felt good. It felt a little bit greedier than the Shadow Isles decks for my taste, but was certainly good. And now, I mean, the buff, I don't know. Again, I don't know if from it feels good from a playing a 9-mana card perspective, but man, I don't know if from a card meta standpoint, if Mina needed that much of a buff. But this is certainly gonna push you more into that side of the Ionia top end if you're looking to go that way.
Yep, I dig it. So this is a card that I've been wanting buffed since the beginning of time, since the start of the game. FunSMitH is getting a mana cost reduction from 5 to 4. To offset that, they reduced her power from 2 to 1, which who cares? 4-mana FunSMitH is so much better. I mean, I still want her to be a 3-mana card, but I'm insane. No, I've been seeing I've been seeing the Discord all day talking about FunSMitH and people playing FunSMitH decks. I'm super excited about this. 4-mana is so much more reasonable.
Yeah, I think still sort of on that fringe, but yeah, 4-mana, again, does not pass the vanilla test even close. But
4-mana 1/3.
4-mana 1/3 is not getting there. But it is such a good ability. I mean, just think about what it's like having a keg in play. This is a permanent keg, right? Which is very, very strong. And
Withering Wail's good.
Oh yeah. And this is the FunSMitH is a very I think delicate card to balance because like when this card's really good, it is very annoying to play against. But I don't know. I mean, I want them to be putting the fun in FunSMitH, not the SMH in FunSMitH.
Yeah.
I just came up with that one
Yeah.
on the spot.
That was really good. I used to be a router.
But yeah, I think it's that is I've seen people playing it today. Obviously, it being essentially day zero. I'm
New
not putting
card.
a lot.
Yeah.
Essentially brand new card. I'm not putting a lot of stock into this being an indicator of FunSMitH's competitive viability, but
Yeah.
it's at least close if people are playing with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm excited to play this with the Ezreal Shadow Isles deck with the
Yes.
Rack Your Bags card.
Yes.
So yeah,
Rack your
thanks, Michael.
bags. Speaking of the Ezreal Shadow Isles deck, we got another Black Spear change, but not a revert to the old Black Spear of yore, which is kind of what I thought they were gonna do, and I'm glad they didn't. I think this iteration makes a lot more sense. Black Spear now is going to do 4 damage to a unit if an ally died this round versus 3. Of course, this also applies to Callista's Black Spear as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, the way that I've kind of seen it put is like Shadow Isles now has its own Ravenous Flock.
Yeah, in a way, and like it is. I mean, I complain about Black Spear basically once a stream because I'm like, remember when we had a 2-mana Black Spear?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's flavorful and it's good to just have different types of removal options. Not that Shadow Isles is lacking removal.
Yeah, there wasn't enough.
Yeah, they were lacking, but now you have, this is something that you could actually consider playing now if you're wanting to deal 4 damage because, you're usually playing stuff like Grasp and it's 3. So
yeah,
I like it. It's definitely better, obviously. 3 mana, deal 4 feels pretty good.
Yeah, I think this gives you, especially in that, the P&Z pairing with Shadow Isles, it gives you some additional options. Depending, I mean, it's a meta call at the end of the day, right? Just like all of the Shadow Isles removal is. It's like, is Whale better? Is Grass better? Do you need more to lean more towards Vengeance? Do you want the 1 mana pings or the 1 damage pings rather? So I like Shadow Isles being that sort of like removal suite. And this is just now it's an actual, something you're actually going to at least consider playing. I've already seen people cutting it when they were playing it earlier, like within the course of from theory crafting to playing it to like, maybe this is only a one-off. So not necessarily a gigantic meta swinging card, but that break point between 3 and 4 is certainly relevant, and having this in the deck opens up the ability for Shadow Isles deck to deal with a little bit more, which is nice.
Yep.
And now we can move on to RIP Tide Rex, getting the nerf bat here, going from 7 power down to 6, and from 7 cannons down to 6. Saucy, are we playing taps before the 6 gun salute here for Riptide Rex, or is he still good?
I think it depends on, like, now you have to think about what kind of deck you're playing it in and like make more like thought other than I just slam him down always.
Right. Yep.
It's definitely, I think the card is still fine. I think it's still a solid card. I feel like this is more reasonable if it's a little bit less feels bad. Like the cannon shots still do the same thing, which I'm kind of glad they didn't change that. I still love the design of Riptide Rex. Like I love how it works. So I'm glad that they didn't change that. He does on his own level up Ezreal, so that's good.
Yeah, that is cool.
So yeah, I don't know. I think he's still fine. I'm glad he's not as crazy as before because every time they played him before, you just lose the game. So maybe now you don't just auto lose.
So I think, if I recall this interview correctly, I think it was actually on one of the Riot official streams where they had one of the lore LORE people for lore LOR Legends of Runeterra on, and he talked a little bit about the lore of Riptide Rex, and I think I might be misremembering this, but I think they asked, why does Riptide Rex fire 7 cannons specifically? And I think the answer was because the concept art that was originally drawn had 7 cannons on it. And
Okay.
I think if you check, you could count and see 7 cannons. So if that's the case, and I might be remembering this wrong, so if I am, then completely discount this. But if I'm not, I hope that they changed the art and got rid of one of the cannons on the art to reflect the change. Because those little things, those like little Easter egg things, are like my favorite things in the world when that happens. So I hope that with this nerf they changed it.
Yeah, otherwise they're gonna need to be paying someone. You can't just change something that important and him have 7 cannons. What is just one a dud?
Yeah, where
Forgot to load one.
well, hello, Riot, Mr. Riot. Hello. There's 7 cannons on Riptide Rex. Where?
Why he shoots 6? Why one cannon no work?
Well, if one of them's a dud, if one of them actually is a dud, then he should fire 7 cannons and have one of them be a dud. And like
That'd be such a cool change.
That'd be so funny. Oh, and you don't know which one's a dud when it goes off.
Neither player does.
Ooh, that would be interesting. And it could also still count for an Ezreal trigger. I'm in on it. They should do it.
I'm super in.
And Night Striker's confirming there's still 7.
Why aren't we? Oh my gosh.
Someone tweeted Umbridge. Someone tweeted Umbridge and everyone else. Hey.
Oh, wait, no, this is Ruben Zoo, right? We have to tweet it.
Yeah, this is something that the live design lead that has literally nothing to do with the art or lore direction should be.
Yeah, he's in charge. He's the design. He's the
live balance lead.
Live, and this has been changed specifically from. I like to think that every card change is just Ruben Zoo and no one else.
Right.
And he made this choice.
I mean, apparently you are much like Twitter because I see him get tagged in everything, and it's like you don't even.
No matter
you didn't even put any thought into what his job probably is.
Yeah. So I know that this is a fact, and now I demand a refund.
Yeah, I demand a refund of our very free-to-play friendly game. But enough of that. Although we will bring this up on every episode until they change it. But enough on that for now. The last card change here was to Eclipse Dragon, which got a 2 health buff up from 5 to 7.
Yep. Yeah, big. I mean, this is a big deal because 7 mana 5 or 7 mana 7/5 is just dog shit. So now it feels a lot less bad to play. And I like that they put Reasoning in him, nothing to do with the dragons, but even they wanted a big option for Daybreak decks. Which is pretty cool, to think about, even if you ignore as a dragon tag.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you're not, but like just an option for Daybreak decks, and a bigger dragon. Like his body was just dog shit. So this is, I don't know if it makes him more played, but it's more considerable now.
Yeah, this one, I already started to see Eclipse Dragon see some play. So like this is definitely pretty big, and certainly it's gonna be a lot harder to deal with. There's I mean, the same sort of line for Mina where it's like, well, you've got this big 9 mana investment, and then obviously you get the ability too, but they chump block it and whatever. Now it's like, especially when you factor in Fury as well, it's like, okay, well, this is really hard to kill now. You have to sort of overkill. Well, you have to kill it in one shot, or else you're gonna have to put a lot more resources into it. But I don't know. Eclipse Dragon certainly been seeing more play.
Yeah, it's such a cool card too.
Yeah,
and I think I've played a total of 1 of these before because I just couldn't bring myself. I mean, to play a 7 mana 7/5
right,
sometimes doesn't do stuff. Like I'm always just playing Mind Splitter instead. So yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because in a tournament game we saw a player who was playing a Trundle Shadow Isles deck and casts Unspeakable Horror, gets Eclipse Dragon, and then from the Eclipse Dragon got a Mind Splitter from it. in their Shadow Isles Trundle deck, and it was against Lee Sin. So it was actually
That's
like
sick.
the biggest Chad move ever. I believe that was Deech from the in Fight Night. That was a good one. I mean, that was like insane RNG skills, which was awesome. It was very fun to cast that, but a lot of people were screaming Hearthstone, which I can't really argue against it in that situation. But
Yeah, that's when you just like, ooh, I got Hearthstone.
yeah, sometimes you do. Although, did you see that new Hearthstone? One of the new Hearthstone cards where that they released, where it was like it's literally a mage card that transforms every spell in your deck into a different one that costs 3 more, but it keeps the original cost.
Yeah.
It's like 3 mana, literally randomize your deck with brand new cards.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm just like,
I loved it.
yeah, people are like, oh, make it rain is too much RNG, and it's like, hold my Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So good. I guess the last thing. Oh, we actually didn't mention this, Saucy. Spectate mode actually in the game now.
Yep. So that's the it's the big one, Spectate mode.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's but so I've got to just say the most important part of Spectate mode, the most important part, you can pet their guardian.
Yes. If that wasn't there, that would really be
it'd be unplayable.
It would definitely be unplayable.
The game would be unplayable. So they added Spectate mode, and they even put in here, hey, we put this in a little ahead of schedule, so there's gonna be bugs. Expect there to be bugs. Don't think it's flawless, but just give us a little slack.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'd rather just be in the game now. And we were all hoping it was going to come in at least, a little earlier so that they can get the bugs worked out and stuff before the tournaments start happening. And this is great. This is a social feature so many people have wanted. Now it feels more like a game. You can kick back, hang out, chill with your friends on Discord, and watch them play games much better.
Yep.
And it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is awesome. I haven't tested it out myself yet. But I did hear some, or not hear some reports, but saw some folks on Discord were mentioning that there was definitely some bugs to it. So, still going to be a little bit away from something like us running a tournament with it, but it's certainly a gigantic step on the way there. And just like, kudos to the team for adding this, because it's something that we've wanted for so long. Which is awesome.
For so many years.
Yep.
So many years.
They also, this is less, well, I mean, it's still important, but it's less so important. They changed the gauntlet to best of 3 now. Instead of just best of 1, which is cool. You're doing pick ban and then you're doing a best of 3, which
only requires 4 wins, I think. Right?
Yeah. The number of wins needed per run is now down to 4, and
so it's 4 best of 3 instead of 7 best of 1.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, like
Math.
it was a little bit weird. Like you're bringing 3 decks and then banning 1, and then there's 2 left, where you're only playing a best of 1. So it's like there's one deck gets banned, one deck gets played, and the other one's just kind of like. You're banning it yourself. It's like your opponent bans 1, you ban 1, and then you play the last one, I guess is kind of how it felt. But
self-ban. Love that.
Self-ban, which is something that people talked about, but this have talked about before with formats, but like this was what that was, I guess, kind of. But regardless, I mean, that's in, and then there's a new lab as well, which is kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
You build your own deck, and then you get bonuses depending on these different variables. Like if your deck is all even cards, then at the start of round, allies get +1/+0. If it's odd, they get +0/+1 every turn. If your deck has no followers, you get an ability, and then if your deck is all commons, you get another ability as well. So I'm really loving these labs where they're like experimenting with all this stuff. And I mean, like we talked about with Umbrage, last week, like really turning Runeterra into less of a like Legends of Runeterra is a 1v1 competitive card game where you do this and have it be more of like Magic, where like Magic, yes, is a 1v1 competitive card game, but like there's standard, there's modern, there's cube, there's EDH, there's a ton of different formats, and like Magic, the cards of Magic the Gathering are a game system, not just one individual game. And like looking at the game through that lens, it's just super, super cool, especially when you think about like the longevity of a game. Like, I think, you know, again, if you did not heed my advice earlier in the podcast, I mean, we're almost done here now, so maybe finish out this episode, but go back and listen to that episode, because it was one of the last things we talked about, and that was really, really gave me a lot of hope for the game and the game's direction moving forward.
Yep. Truth.
But
Big
big truth indeed. Saucy, is there anything else that we want to talk about here? That's the patch. That was a bit. That was a big one.
It was a big one. It was a very, very in depth. I mean, it took. I was up until wee hours of the morning doing my, patch overview video.
Yeah.
And I haven't been doing them all the time because now that we're getting patches with content changed all the time, it's like, all right, here's a full video where 2 cards change. Like this had some mate and titers to it.
Oh yeah. Well, this is like their cadence of like the post new set patch, like balance patch. So like the last one was just like, we have a couple of emergency changes that we want to go for, and this
I don't know
is.
if I'm gonna make this up or if this is actually in there. I think they said this is the last big balance patch before the December tournament, right? Yeah, these changes are the last ones we have planned before the first seasonal tournament in December. So
right, which is in a month, right?
Yep.
It's
so
the actually
stuff, and this will be what we play with for the big tournament.
Yeah, actually the cutoff for, so again, if you did not know, there are 2 ways to qualify for the end of season tournament. It's be in the top 700 in ladder right now, or get a prime glory, win your last chance gauntlet. Be one of the first 324 people to win the last chance gauntlet. So I think
be Saucy Mailman
be Saucy Mailman. For official purposes, there are no invites given out for free. But you accept the Saucy Mailman. I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on the like, oh well, if I can just hit Masters, I'm going to get it automatically. And like when I hit Masters a week ago, I think there was like 250 people ish. I just checked before we started the podcast, and there's over 500 now. So just hitting Masters is not going to hit it, especially considering that there's likely going to be a big push at the end for the like people who are in 750th place. So if you're planning on qualifying for it, and you're planning to qualify for it via the ladder, I would try to get your LP early and often. Don't wait till the last minute, because that is going to be stressful. But nonetheless, that's going to be a cool one to watch for sure, and just see how that pans out, and like what we're going to be getting moving forward with the the set release cadences and whatnot.
True. So. Big true.
That is our gigantic bite of meat and potatoes for this patch, Saucy. That was a good one, and a big one for sure. But where can people find you on the internet when you're not here talking about Legends of Runeterra?
Yeah, you can just find me on the internet. I'm just Saucy Mailman on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube and all the places, and I do the content.
All the content and all the places. You can find me on Twitter at @the_Blevins. You can also find me on Giant Slayer broadcasts on Fridays. We're now doing EU and NA tournaments for Giant Slayer Fight Nights, so pretty much Friday all day. If you want to watch high-level Legends of Runeterra, Twitch.tv/GiantSlayerTV is where to be. You can also find the show on Twitter at Runeterrable. You can go to Runeterrable.com, DeckPics.Live. The best place, however, to go is going to be discord.me/RuneTerrableRadio. We've got all of our links. The community lives there. We've got such a awesome and thriving community there. Definitely the best place to go. If you want to support us, you can over at patreon.com/RuneTerrableRadio. You can see all of the benefits that are included there as well. But that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. For Saucy, I'm Levins, and we'll see you next week to talk about some more Legends of Runeterra. Wow!
Fan